Greetings, MFs. Welcome back to this time and place or something. Uh, I'm dying. Speaking of which, I am getting over like the flu. That's not why. It's been a few days since I last uploaded. But besides the point. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Rank Everything, the show where we rank everything. I'm your host, Ryan, and today, suggested by Beefcake5168, with a minor change made for YouTube safety, we are going to be ranking which SpongeBob characters are the best lovers. So yeah, our tiers for today are, at the bottom we have no. No. Then we have bare minimum. These are lovers. These are the characters who barely make it. Then we've got well enough. This is like, a little bit better than bare minimum. Then we have good lover. This is like good. This is the gold standard for what a lover should be. And then at the top we've got legendary lover. The best of the best. This won't be a super long video because there's not very many characters. There's like 16 I think are in this list. But here we go. So up first we have SpongeBob. So let's see. The thing about SpongeBob is that his age is like semi-ambiguous because like he's like in his mid-40s or something like that because he's worked for the Krusty Krab for like 35 years canonically or something like that. And but despite all that, he still acts like he's a literal child. He never lost his childlike whimsy, I guess is what the word would be. And so what I would say to that is knowing what we know about SpongeBob and how like good he is with friendship and other things like that, but this childlike sort of thing, I think if SpongeBob could mature just a little bit, I think he'd rise all the way up to like legendary lover status. And according to I think it was whenever they released the first SpongeBob movie, there was a special edition version of the movie that came with SpongeBob's diary. It was like an official diary made by Steven Hillenburg, and in the diary it said in a diary SpongeBob basically admitted that he has a crush on Sandy. And so I guess like that's like, so like think about that for a second. So like try to imagine SpongeBob being Sandy's like lover. Like we know he likes her, we know he's got a crush on her, all that sort of stuff. I mean, we can ignore the whole him being a sea sponge and her being a squirrel and how that would work. Right, this is all leading to me putting SpongeBob in the good lover category. I think SpongeBob will be a good lover just because he's just already such a great friend. If you believe the whole SpongeBob character is based on the 7 deadly sins thing, SpongeBob is lust. And the reason why he's considered lust based on that theory is that he's got this intense lust for life. Not just like he's hornying around everywhere he goes. Like he's lustful for life. He loves his life. He loves people in his life, that kind of thing. Okay. Gary. Based on what we know about Gary from like the Dream episodes and other things like that, the only thing that Gary has going against him is that he's a huge glutton, right? Like there's like the episodes where, like when Gary left SpongeBob because SpongeBob forgot to feed him for that kind of thing, and that kind of thing. There was another episode where like SpongeBob goes missing and Gary just gorges on his food, grows like 20 times his size because Gary's just a huge glutton. But according to Gary's own dreams, he's like a super, super intellectual, actually really intelligent, loves that sort of stuff. I would say, this might be a stretch. Under the assumption that Gary could, there was that one episode where SpongeBob put Gary in the snail race and he actually did fall in love with Squidward's snail. We don't know what happened to them. Maybe I don't know. Basically, I would put Gary in the legendary lover category. I think Gary would be a legendary lover, given that he had the facilities for it. Patchy. So Patchy, he's SpongeBob's #1 fan, and he's like spent his entire life being his #1 fan. I'm sad to say, Patchy gets no bitches. Patchy gets no bitches. But do I think that Patrick would be a good lover if he actually got the chance to it? Well, I mean, probably not, because he spends all of his time gushing over SpongeBob. So if he was gonna be like in a relationship with SpongeBob, that puts him up in the legendary lover status. But with a regular person, we got the bare minimum. Potty, well, considering that Potty is literally just a puppet, technically. I don't actually know. I don't know if like it's Potty is a puppet and it's all just a bit, or if it's like he really is played as this actual living bird. Because that's, I mean, that is how he's played, but he's very, it's just, no, I don't think so. Then we have, so this is like a newer season thing. So this is the guy who, he looks like the Cyclops from the first movie, but apparently, based on the lore videos that I've been watching recently, this is supposed to be the narrator of the show. This is the narrator. Like, this is what he looks like. This is what he sounds like. Apparently, he's in, like, cahoots with Sandy or something. I don't know. It's really, really confusing, kind of. But, so this is the narrator, I think. Pretty sure, based on my knowledge. Do I think the narrator or SpongeBob would make a good lover? I don't know. We don't really know anything about this guy outside of the fact that he narrates the show, and he's, you know, maybe he's in cahoots with Sandy behind the scenes doing something. There's some SpongeBob lore videos or SpongeBob theory videos that you can watch about it that I would recommend to get more info about this guy, but also stuff that's going on with this guy and like Sandy apparently, like, you know. I mean, he's just a regular dude. Like, if I just assume that he has a normal life outside of his obvious job narrating the SpongeBob show, I mean, I guess he loves well enough. Mermaid Man. So if we're assuming it's Mermaid Man as we see him in the show, like he's past his prime, he's an old man, he lives at the old folks' home, he's probably a no. But Mermaid Man in his prime, dude is probably a legendary lover. Dude is probably getting. Dude had a new dude. He was with a new woman every night, is what we would say. I guess, I don't know. So I'm gonna give Mermaid Man the benefit of the doubt and put him in good lover category. Barnacle Boy. I think Barnacle Boy is the same sort of thing where, like, if you've seen pictures of prime Barnacle Boy, that dude that's a sexy man right there. I'd bang that man. Put him in well enough, because there's no way he can be as good as Mermaid Man. The Flying Dutchman. So we don't know anything about what the Flying Dutchman was like when he was alive, except for, I think it's like in his very first episode of like Shanghai or something like that, and we learn how he died or something like that, and I don't remember exactly how he died, but that's all that we know about the Flying Dutchman when he was alive. But that's basically nothing. So unless the Flying Dutchman met like a... Well, actually, there is that episode where he crashes at SpongeBob's place for a while, and he is trying to... Even though he's a ghost, and he... Despite being a ghost, he still, like, gets fat and out of shape and all that stuff. He still tries to get with this, like, one of the, like, the recurring background women characters. So... we know, apparently he's capable of that. Apparently he may or may not actually have the facilities for it. So, but I don't, based on how he was looking at the episode, I'm going to say this is another bare minimum situation. Patrick. So Patrick, I want to say there are episodes where Patrick has like sort of fallen in love or had crushes, but he's never like been on a date, or he's never, you know, like, he's never, I don't know. I'm going to say Patrick would somehow stumble his way into that sort of thing. But like it would be like a super short thing because he's too much of a dumbass to be able to comprehend, like, the girl would want to go and have sex and Patrick doesn't know what sex is because he's a fucking idiot. And so, I mean, yeah, Patrick's probably a no situation. Squidward. So Squidward is of every character in the show, there's not a single one who is more of just a regular adult than Squidward is. I mean, like, he works a 9-to-5 job that he isn't happy with. He has these other artistic dreams that he's constantly trying to chase. You know, he doesn't have anybody in his life. He's like they said, all the ages of all the SpongeBob characters are pretty ambiguous, but we know Squidward is like middle aged. Like we know he's probably older than SpongeBob is. We know that he's probably, you know, he's worked at the Krusty Krab for a long time, like even longer than SpongeBob has. But it's just this like common question of why does Squidward keep working at the Krusty Krab when he knows how much he hates it? And I don't know. Especially with how much of a cheapskate Mr. Krabs is. There's no way that Squidward's got like stock in the company. There's no way that he's got some like 401k thing going on, because Mr. Krabs would probably just never do that unless he was forced to by law. Squidward, there's no way that Squidward has ever gotten a raise because he's probably because of the way that Mr. Krabs is. I mean, there's like a video on YouTube that goes over all that stuff. I haven't watched it, but you know, sooner or later. When it comes to being a good lover, I think that Squidward, if given the chance to actually get into a relationship with a girl, you know, fall in love with her, I think Squidward could be really good at it. I'm actually going to put Squidward up in the good lover category. Mr. Krabs. So Mr. Krabs' one and only true love is money. But he is officially in a relationship with Mrs. Puff. And there, of course, there's apparently a very recent episode of SpongeBob that's a very disturbing, where it's just like the two of them on the beach just kind of like engorging themselves with food, and it's really fucking weird and uncomfortable. But I mean, like, you can tell they're in fucking love in that scene. So I mean, I guess Mr. Krabs is just gonna go up in the legendary lover category for right now. Plankton is so bad at being a lover, he had to like build his own or something. I don't know. It depends on like whether or not you think that Karen was built by Plankton to love him, or if you believe the way that Karen sort of describes it in the freaking Friend or Foe episode, where they're going over Mr. Krabs and Plankton's origin story, and you know how they were friends when they were kids, and Karen talks about how she was like just like a basic security system at the time, and somehow she grew up and fell. I don't know. I don't know. My guess is that Plankton has never seen or talked to a real woman before. And while I think that Karen is a great wife, I don't know. Plankton is a genius, but he's kind of he's an idiot genius, where like he's got this incredible intellect and he builds all these machines and he comes up with these evil plans and he makes robots, and like he could make a lot of money selling his genius or his inventions to places, but he's instead spent his entire life trying to go after the secret formula. It's one of the things where it's just like, did Plankton have a number of like ruined relationships before he just said fuck it and he decided to make Karen, and that kind of thing? It's one of those things where like Mr. Krabs is like canonically in his 70s, but he's known Plankton since they were both kids. So does that mean Plankton is in his 70s as well? I mean, I don't know. As I keep saying, the ages of all the characters are actually pretty ambiguous. Like we don't, like, I don't know. I think it's a sort of like a Mr. Krabs level thing, where Plankton is obsessed over one thing and one thing only, and he will continue to obsess over that one thing until he either gets it or until he dies. And it's not like Mr. Krabs, where Mr. Krabs can just keep making money. Like, it's once Plankton gets the secret formula, well, then that's it. He's achieved his life goal. In fact, by the time that Plankton even gets his hands on the formula for real, he'll probably just fall over and die immediately, because he'll no longer have a reason to live, I guess. His body will just give up. I mean, imagine for a second, or don't, I don't care, but what possibly could sex between a Plankton and a computer even be like? And from what we've seen, Plankton is not a good husband. Like, he does all these bad things to Karen, but of course she stays with him, either because she actually does love him and wants to, or because she's programmed to always stay with him and she doesn't have a choice. Plankton gonna go in the bare minimum. We're finally reached the ranking point. Karen, Karen goes in the legendary lover category. I think I may just have something for Karen, but I don't know. Couldn't tell you. Sandy. So Sandy, I don't know. We don't know what Sandy's feelings are towards SpongeBob exactly. There are certain episodes that suggest she may have thought about SpongeBob's ding-a-ling before, like especially the freaking, SpongeBob doesn't shave, or does he, clip. Very famous these days. Went over all of our heads as kids, but, Sandy is attractive. I mean, I guess, like, she's the most attractive female character in the show. And I don't know if that's necessarily done on purpose, considering that whenever she's inside her tree dome, she's just wearing a bikini at all times. And the only time she's in, even like she just, it's like she never takes the bikini off, that kind of thing. With Sandy, Sandy, she's a genius. She's even more of a genius than even someone like Plankton. Or maybe they're on this, like, the same intellectual level, except Sandy's not obsessed with trying to steal the secret formula, so she actually puts her intellect to good use, like building, like, rocket ships and other valuable technology and all that sort of other stuff. And it's one of those things that's just like, I think Sandy is just, she's like a regular person where, like, she's got this thing she's really good at, and she just does that, and that's her life. But if someone walked into it that she could fall in love with, then, I think that it would end up like with something to, I think it would be like a learning process for her to learn how to love another person like that person needs, I think. I'm not a SpongeBob expert. I just, I don't even know if Sandy's ever had any sort of romantic interest toward anybody, including someone like SpongeBob or any of the other characters on the show, or unless it was just like a one-time episode fling sort of thing with some random side character that appeared in one episode ever, that kind of thing. I think Sandy could be a good lover. I think she could be a good lover. Mrs. Puff. So there are theory videos that suggest that Mrs. Puff is like a former criminal. She had another boarding school in a different city that got destroyed because of another bad student on the same, or actually on a worse level than SpongeBob. She is officially like in a relationship with Mr. Krabs in the show or something like that. I mean, I don't know. They love each other. Like, if you know what newer episode I'm talking about, they love each other, and that shit is disturbing to watch. I am not into it. Yeah, I'm gonna put Mrs. Puff in the good lover category, just because like if both of them are older, they would have older values, and so Mr. Krabs obviously comes from the generation where, like, the man does all the courting in the relationship. Like, he's buying all the gifts, he's going all the places, he's paying for everything. And while Mrs. Puff certainly could, she's probably not, because that's just, whether that's something they talked about and that's just what they decide to do, they decide to have these traditional gender roles, or if it's just Mr. Krabs being like, don't worry, I got it, and she's not letting Mrs. Puff pay for anything, or that kind of thing. Yeah, but they love each other. Oh yeah. Pearl is a teenager. Well, there you have it. This is our official ranking for which SpongeBob characters would be the best lovers to have. If you all enjoyed this video, please subscribe to the channel. It really, really helps me out. It means everything to me whenever you subscribe to the channel and you watch the videos. Share this video with your friends, because this is valuable knowledge for them to have. Leave a like on this video so that YouTube will recommend it more to you and others as well. And let's see. We will be starting the Patreon at 500 subscribers. We're about 25 away right now. I think we're at 474 right now at the time of this recording. So what I would just say is that if a Patreon is something you would actually be interested in, just, leave a comment down below letting me know. It's only going to be $1 a month for one extra video every Sunday. That is more risque topics that we can't put here on YouTube, as well as a shout out at the end of every single video. $1 a month, as cheap as Patreon will let me make it. And finally, leave a comment down below letting me know what ranking you want to see in the future, or what ranking you want to see next. Can be anything. Channel is called Rank Everything. Once again, thank you for watching. Until next time, have a good one.